Over my 60 plus years in ham radio, I've messed around with many antennas and all sorts of books and records and notes about antennas. I had a challenge recently, how to make a multiband antenna fit into a really tiny garden. Well, an interesting challenge actually. So what is a tiny garden? Well, I'm going to assume that the garden that we're imagining is only 30 foot long. Now, some of the inquiries have said I want to operate on all bands from 80 metres to 10 metres. Well, I'm not sure I can promise all bands, but I can put down some ideas. Now, the ideas I'm going to put down are things that I've used in the past, from notes I've made in the past. And I think that with a little bit of effort and a bit of ingenuity, we can design an antenna that will cover 80 through to 10 metres, not all the bands, but 80 through to 10 metres in a garden which is only 30 foot long. And there's various combinations, so let me run through these combinations on the screen here so you can see what I've used in the past and how it might just fit into your tiny garden. Now this antenna uses 450 ohm ladder line, which you can see in the centre there, and it's supported horizontally with some line either side in the form of a dipole. If you look at the right hand side of the ladder line, this is cut for 20 metres, a quarter wave on 20 metres, so it'd be just slightly short of 5 metres tall. And the left hand side is cut so that the ladder line plus the top horizontal left hand section will resonate on 40 metres. And that 40 metre section will also resonate on its third harmonic, which is 21 megahertz or 15 metres. Yes, I know it's not precise, the resonant point will be slightly high in the band, but you'll still get a reasonable VSWR on 15 metres. So we've now got an antenna that's only around about 17 or 18 feet long. Sorry, it's in feet and inches. And it will operate on 40 metres, 20 metres and 15 metres. So let's see what else we can achieve with this very compact area in a tiny garden. We could add a 100 microhenry choke coil on the left hand side and then add to that a resonator which is around about 2 metres long. Bit of trial and error there in terms of the resonator. But that will then give us 80 metres. Now the bandwidth on 80 metres will be fairly narrow, probably no better than about 100 kilohertz. But if you adjust the resonator so that you've got resonance around about 3.75 megahertz, that'll give you coverage of the popular area of the SSB phone band on 80 metres. So now we've got an antenna which is still shorter than 30 feet or shorter than 10 metres, but covers 80, 40, 20, 15 metres. Can we make it cover 10 metres as well? Well, yes, we can do. Let me show you. The support cord on the right hand side holding the system in the air can also be used as a support for a 10 metre element connected at the base. And if you look down at the base, you'll see that I've added on the right hand side I've added a 10 metre element, in other words a quarter wave on 10 metres, which will be approximately 2.5 metres long, and that will give you 10 metres. Now everything is fed at the base, everything is tied together at the base and fed with coax cable, and of course this is basically a vertical system, even though we've got a horizontal section for 40 metres and 80 metres. So you do need some form of ground plane. And I think in recent times it's been generally understood that it's not so much the length of the radials as it is the number. And I found that even if you have some radials just, say, 3 meters long, if you can put about 10 or 12 radials 3 meters long on the ground, around the base of the antenna, then that will give you a reasonable ground plane. It will certainly work quite well. So that's my suggestion as regards the radials or ground plane system. They sit on the ground. That's the easiest way with this particular type of antenna. Now, as regards connecting the coax cable to the base of the antenna, what I've done in the past is I've got myself a copper rod, sort of the copper or copper pipe that the plumbers would use for a central heating system. I don't know, it's about perhaps 2 centimeters diameter, something like that. Cut yourself off a section around about, I don't know, 18 inches, no, I mustn't say that, must I? About 50 centimeters long, and bang it into the ground so that you've still got about, I don't know, 10 or 12 centimeters above the ground, and then strip the coax cable back so that you've got a length of braid in, and then using hose clamps you can clamp that braid into the copper pipe. The copper pipe, although it's earthed, that's not the most important point, the copper pipe will then provide a support and clamp for clamping the braid, and at the same time you can also use those hose clamps to actually clamp the radials to the copper pipe. So you clamp the braiding of the coax to the pipe, and you also clamped the radials to the copper pipe. Then all you've got to do is to connect the inner conductor of the coax cable to the base of the antenna system. There's no need to bother about plugs and sockets. You can just connect the coax somehow to the base of the antenna. You can use, I don't know, what we call chocolate blocker, the sort of electrical connector block that you might use for electrical connections in a loft or something like that. And then thoroughly weatherproof it. You can, well, I'll leave it up to you how you weatherproof it. You just need to seal it all so that the water can't get in. And that really provides the connection to the base of the antenna. It's pretty straightforward, pretty simple, and pretty rugged. So that gives you an antenna, covers 5 bands, 80, 40, 20, 15 and 10. Of course, it doesn't have to be 10 metres. That final band could be 12 metres or it could be 17 metres, whatever takes your fancy. But that is a compact system. It will fit into a garden that is no more than 10 metres long. In fact, it will fit into a garden that's slightly shorter than 10 metres long. And it should work quite well. And as I say, I've used that principle over the past, or go back 20 or 30 years. I started using that system in a small garden, and it works very well. A bit of fiddling about, particularly on 80 metres to get the resonance there, but you'll get it. And you may not want 80 metres, of course. It makes it even simpler. So that's my take on an antenna system for a tiny garden. Now, I've got another system which you might want to look at as well. It's also okay for a tiny garden, and I'll do that in an upcoming video in the next few weeks or so. But for the time being, that's my take on a compact antenna for a small garden, and all you need is wire, 450 ohm ladder line and a bit of coax cable, and some patience to get it all together and working. Thanks for your support on this channel, it's much appreciated. And until the next time, take care. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.